Hello, this is Roland. Welcome. Today I want to continue reading from A Guide to True Peace. Actually from a book that I published, A Guide to True Peace Revisited. A Guide to True Peace is in the public domain, and I updated it a little bit and added a special introduction, which is very much worth reading. A Guide to True Peace are excerpts from 3 spiritual writers. So let me begin reading from chapter 9, on self-denial. He who expects to arrive at perfection, or a union of the soul with God by means of consolation and comfort, will find himself mistaken. The comfort, see, what the world has made of you, it then comforts. See, first it teases you and challenges you. Tease and challenge, the same thing. Tease and challenge. And then, after you become upset, after you become angry, after you give in for peace, then it comforts you. It rewards you. Okay? If you're angry and upset, then it drains away your tension. Okay? Or it provides an object for you to take out your anger on. When you become resentful and give in, see, after the struggle with it, and the anger and the resentment become so painful, then you give in for peace, and then it rewards you for conforming. Then you get a brownie button of approval. You get a gold star on your forehead. And so you are rewarded by the world. So what it made of you, it then has to sustain and provide more tease and challenge and comfort and reassurance. So that's why when we fail, have you noticed that when you fail, when you become upset, or you become angry, or you say the wrong thing, or you are cowardly, or when you should have spoken up, you say nothing. See, then you failed. Or when you do the wrong thing, or when you steal a little something, or tell a little lie. See, in your heart, you know you did the wrong thing. Then what do? You seek comfort. You seek comfort from the world. You look for someone to reassure you, to tell you that you're okay. See, sometimes, you go have drinks with your drinking buddies and you tell them what you did, and then they say, oh, don't worry about it, everybody's doing it, blah, blah, blah. See, or they pat you on the back and tell you how great you are for getting upset or angry or for conforming. So there's some kind of comfort that comes from the world, because they too are compromised. They too have given in. They too have failed. See? They too failed to keep the moral high ground, and they failed to be patient. And they failed to express love with their kids, with their partner in the world. Okay? They failed to be courageous. So they comfort you because you're like them. Why, if you were suddenly to become courageous and noble, and stand up for what's right without anger, see, well, then you would shame them. You would, by your contrast, they would have to look at themselves as they are, so they comfort you. But there's also another world comfort. It comforts you in your mind. It talks to you. See, the spirit of the world that made other people the way they are. Look at it. Look at your parents. Look how they failed. Undoubtedly, if you're like most people. They messed up, okay? And somehow they couldn't help themselves. That's why you must forgive them. They couldn't help themselves. See, they were taken over by the spirit of the world, the very spirit, see, that had destroyed their parents. Then their parents did to them what was done to their parents, and then they did to you what was done to them. And then what they made of you, the ambitious, unprincipled achiever that they made of you, or the angry rebel that they made of you, or the cowardly appeaser that they made of you, whatever they made of you. See, they then comfort. And if they don't comfort, if the ones who did it to you don't comfort you, then you find someone else. So the ones who made you angry and upset and resentful through their relentless tease and cruelty and confusion, then you rushed off and you found some gang to belong to or some group of people that you hung around with and smoked marijuana with and drank with. See, they comforted you. Or you found some boyfriend or girlfriend who comforted you. See, made you feel like you were okay the way you were. So that's the kind of comfort you get from the Word. You get rewarded for being ambitious, for compromising on principle. See, you get rewarded for conforming. See? So that's what you get rewarded for being unprincipled and ambitious. So, and the netherworld comfort from a faceless. See, comforted in your mind. See, with images and fantasies of being great and of romance, or fantasies of revenge or being a conquering hero. Somehow those comfort your ego for having failed in reality. The more you fail in reality, the more you escape into fantasy and thinking. See? And in your fantasies, you can be great. You can be loved, so on, in your fantasies. See? Plus rationale and excuses and justification for your failure come to mind. See? False comfort. That's what it is, false comfort. So, eventually your allegiance is to that which made you as you are and which comforts you as you are. So your allegiance is to the unprincipled people, to the educators, okay, to your peer group who comforts you. Your allegiance is to the world, which made you as you are. And if you became a rebel, then your allegiance then is to those who help you, who comfort you in your rebellion. See, drug dealers and marijuana pushers and gang leaders and various types of music. See, music comforts. See, so some people like one kind of music and some people like another kind of music, but it's a false comfort. See, it's an undeserved comfort. We don't deserve, unless you're a right person, you don't deserve to be comforted. See? Because it only makes you worse. And it only makes you more guilty. See? If you do something wrong, and then someone comforts you for it, or enables you, see, then accepting that comfort only makes you more wrong. You're wrong for what you did in the first place, and you're wrong for accepting comfort. Okay? So, it's better. So now do you see why you're better off to suffer for your mistakes? We all know, we all know that. Anybody who has even a shred of understanding or a shred of reason knows that when you do too much for your kids, you're not helping them. You're harming them. See? Every parent knows that sometimes you have to let the child, so, if the child breaks a window, then the child should pay for the window. And mow the grass and do different things to get an allowance, and then part of that allowance goes to paying for the window. Every parent knows that that's good. And every parent knows that if you always rush in to rescue the child and never give a child a chance to stand on his own feet and to achieve it for himself. See, not only do you weaken the child, but the child resents you because the child senses that you're weakening the child. You see what I mean? But anyway, what a good father is for. To be watchful, to see that the child receives the right amount of comfort. Because little children do need some comfort. Okay, they do. But not too much. And as they get older, they're better off standing on their own 2 feet, becoming independent. We all know that. So the same thing that applies in that situation applies to you. You're better off not getting the comfort. So, but if people try to comfort you, then don't resent them. See, if they try to comfort you, and then you resent them. See, the resentment is wrong. So that is another guilt. And your resentment will make you feel so wrong that eventually you'll go to them for the comfort. So there's only one place to go for comfort, and that's to your conscience. Your conscience is from God. It's your closest link to God. It's what you know in your heart. It's wordless. It's wordless. See? So God is a wordless presence. Is a presence also. God is a presence. You become aware of His presence first by way of conscience. Chastisement. The mystics talk about chastisement. Okay? In other words, you feel bad. If you did something wrong, you feel bad. When you were a little kid, you were close to God at that point. Closer to God than you have been ever since. When you were a little child, if you got angry at your mommy, or angry at your little brother or sister, or said something mean to your little brother or sister, then afterwards you felt bad, didn't you? Well, that's your conscience. So best to reconcile with your conscience. And so how do you do that? All you have to do is admit in your heart. If you see that you've messed up, then just see it. Don't try to fix yourself. Don't try to roll up your sleeves and make yourself right. See? On the one hand. And on the other hand, don't seek comfort from the world for your error. Just stand there and see your error. Don't resent it. Don't resent seeing it. Don't resent yourself. See, all that resentment does is it creates an egotistical you. It supports pride. See, it keeps you from God. See, by resenting, you deny God His moment, and His moment is for you to wordlessly see in His light that you made a mistake, and then if you admit it, if you see it, feel a little bad over it or embarrassed over it, see, ashamed of it, in your heart, then that reconciles you to Him. That's why the story of the prodigal son is perfect. We all know the story of the prodigal son, where he took his inheritance and squandered it. And then eventually he went back home. But as he got closer and closer to home, he didn't want to face his father. See, but finally he knocked on the door. His father answered the door, and the son said, "Father, I'm sorry, I messed up, and I'm not worthy to be your son." See, no excuses, no rationale, no blame, no mea culpas, just plain and simple. I messed up, I'm sorry. And the father says, "My son, I've just been waiting for you to see that you're wrong and admit it and come back. Okay? So welcome. Let's have a feast, for I had lost a son and now I've regained my son." See? It's something like that. You can experience that in your life when you admit in your heart that you're wrong. I'll give you a little example. This is a true example. I might give you a couple of examples. I've used this before, but it's an excellent example. A man was driving. A young man was driving, and he was angry. He was always angry and resentful. Very, very angry. Okay. And he was driving, and then a lady was driving, and she pulled in front of him. And he interpreted that as she cut him off. Which she probably didn't. She just changed lanes. But in his anger, he became full of rage, and then he drove up beside her car, and then he started yelling bad things. And her window was rolled down, so she heard the bad things he was yelling. But then all of a sudden, the man noticed that there was a little girl sitting in the front seat, in the passenger seat. And the little girl looked at him with horror. And then she burst into tears. The little girl burst into tears. Well, the man stopped yelling, and he pulled his car into a parking spot. And he sat there and wept. Great big heaving sobs. Okay? Because he saw how wrong he was. Okay? He awoke. And the expression on the little girl's face woke him up. And then when he woke up, he came in contact with his conscience. And in light of his conscience, he saw his own wrong. And he just cried. Because it was true. He didn't try to duck it. Okay? He didn't go off to his friends. And he didn't try to change the subject and go to his friends. And he didn't go to get music. He didn't go to get alcohol. He didn't go to get food. He didn't go to find something to pretend nothing happened. He just sat there and saw the truth about his own wrong. And that was one of the changing points in his life that very soon led to him getting better. Permanently better. See? Because, see, you either have allegiance to one or the other. Remember, Christ said no man can serve two masters. Okay? So you either serve Mammon, the world. You have an allegiance to the world's comfort, to its awards, its prizes for copping out, its perks, its reassurance, its drugs, its music, its entertainment. See? Those are all comforts. Now, so you see, but on the other hand, if you have a change of allegiance, instead of believing the world that you're okay the way you are, now you doubt. You see that you're not okay, and now you believe into the truth, which is quietly showing you that you're wrong. And you're willing to admit it and bear the little bit of pain of seeing your own wrong. It won't last long. It's for a little while. Okay? You experience the pain for your own wrong, and then the pain refines into sadness and remorse, and then the remorse into a catharsis, and then there's relief, and then joy returns. But that's how you reconcile, just like the prodigal son. You reconcile with your conscience. You reconcile with God. See, in those special moments when you see your own wrong and admit it in your heart. Okay? So that's a very good example right there. So and then when you have a change of allegiance to what is right, to your conscience, see, instead of trying to be right, instead of trying to be the right, see, you become humble before conscience. See how that is? All right. Well, I think I'm going to stop at this point. Okay? And hope you enjoyed today's little discussion. Oh, I did want to mention something else before I forget. I had thought of this. I should mention it. See, some people, they misinterpret. See, they misinterpret. But perhaps you can see what I'm saying is true, and you're open to it. You have some understanding. But then there's an obvious objection, and the obvious objection is, well, does that mean then you can never listen to music, you can never have a drink of a glass of wine, you can never eat food, you can never, watch a ball game, and so on? No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. But what it does mean is that if you are wrong, okay, you're impatient with your children, or you're cheating on your wife, or you're being dishonest, or you're angry all the time, or you're resentful and having secret judgments against other people, okay, then you don't deserve comfort. See? And if you get comfort, it only keeps you as you are. It doesn't allow you to get better. See? It keeps you as you are, and it increases your guilt because it's wrong to be comforted for doing wrong. See? So, first get right. Remember, Christ said, put first the kingdom of God in His right way. Then all other things will be added unto you. First things first. First get right with conscience. Christ also said, if He said, if you're bringing your gifts to the temple door, you're bringing your gifts to the temple. And then you suddenly realize that there's some unfinished business with your brother. He said, then leave your gifts at the temple door and first go make it right with your brother. And then come back. You see? So, if you have a change of heart and have an allegiance to what is right in your heart, then you start to improve. No, you don't become a saint overnight. See, it's a long process. But now you're on the right path, and your allegiance is in the right place. And now you see, and I've been impatient with my child. You see that. You see you've been judging your partner. You begin to see these things, and then you begin to change, because now your allegiance is to the good, and in the light of good, and with God's help. See, you can't change yourself. You can't repent yourself, but He can. Okay, and all He requires is that you are willing to see your error, and that's all He requires, without trying to duck it or escape from seeing it or resenting it. Okay? And then a willingness then wanting to change, a yearning to change, to be better. Okay? Well, okay, so what I was going to say is, so if you then have this change of allegiance, and you start to live better, you're not as angry anymore, you're not resentful anymore, see, you're not phony anymore, and you start to live properly. Everything changes for the better. Okay? Well, and then you've done your work. See? So you have a day when all day long you go about your business, always always in your heart with an eye to what's right. So that gives you a certain grace, a certain dignity. You almost stand out that way. Okay? And yet you're humble. Okay? You're not trying to prove anything. You're just going about your life with some grace, some dignity, some patience, some honor. Okay? And not angry and not resentful. And so you go to work. You do a good job. You'll do a better job when you're not angry all the time. You'll be able to focus on your work, and you'll do a good job. And then you come home, and your partner's there, and your child, okay, and you're there for them, okay. Then, see, and then perhaps there's other things. You're helping your child with studies, and there's so much. Then if there's any time left, okay, maybe a little bit, a small amount of some recreation. But even better than listening to some of your musicians play music, or watching somebody else play a ball game, better yet to go have some recreation with your family, a bike ride, a walk, okay, some fun games with your family, putting together a crossword puzzle, or just see how much better that would be. You got the idea. So most people are not mature enough to listen to music. Most people are not, or to watch ball games, because it's all it does is keep them at a low level, and comforts them, and distracts them from things they should be looking at. Like Christ said, if you Or taking your gifts to the temple and you suddenly remember you have something with your brother, an issue, an unfinished business, you first go make it right with your brother. Okay? So first, if you're resentful with your wife, then stop resenting your wife. Stop being impatient with your child. See? Stop avoiding whatever you're doing that's wrong, avoiding responsibility or whatever it is. First things first. Make it right with conscience. And then right with conscience, then you do the right thing after that. Do that first before you receive comfort, the worldly comfort, false comfort. My name is Roland.